Pyramids, what are they all about? Well, let's just jump straight into it. I feel that these buildings, these structures, were ultimately about initiation into higher worlds. When you look at, say, the Great Pyramid of Giza, you can see that this was not a sort of like inhabitable piece of architecture, right? It's mostly solid, and then they've carved out these certain chambers at various locations. And I think it was only through an Arabic influence that they actually called it, say, the King's Chamber and the Queen's Chamber. This whole idea that it was for these pharaohs, right? It's all rather ludicrous when you just look at it architecturally. It's mostly solid mass, right? And so, according to a lot of what I cite is coming from, the Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life and Drunvalo Melchizedek. But seemingly what makes sense to me, and also Bashar actually, which is a great channel via Daryl Anker, if you're aware of this kind of stuff. But seemingly what's happening here is the pyramid in of its form. And it doesn't matter necessarily the materiality of this. It's been shown to have a similar effect based on whether you're using wood or stone. But I feel like this is a way of actually distorting the fabric of space and time, this sort of etheric energy that's around us. We might call it prana, chi, right? It's about modifying this and contracting it or magnifying it into a specific location, which they found to be right in the center, right, of the pyramid, which interestingly means in Greek fire in the middle, right? And so I feel like they found a way to ricochet and actually move. If you think of the soul as a distortion in space and time, right? And that's what they call us in the Law of One, are space-time distortions, right? I've been tempted to call myself Adam, but they would call us space-time distortions. And I can see that, the way that I think about reality itself is that everything is a process. There are no nouns or objects. So matter itself is creating a field around us. And we can see that, of course, when we look at magnets, right? The same field is metaphysically around us as well. And synthetically, they've created that in these pyramids. And the reason I feel they've done this, and here's ultimately the main purpose of the initiation, is to contact higher worlds, get the soul to be elevated to a position. So this has been called a synthetic Merkaba. So we have a natural Merkaba or light body, which we can activate, and which would afford us more remembrance in the dream states, and we would start to bridge these gaps, right? And this would typically be activated by way of what we would call a spiritual path or enlightenment. So you're lightening up the body. So the vibration of the body is now less contrasting to mind, which means that you've built a bridge. But some people might want to fast track that. Okay, there's other methods that can expedite the whole process, and I feel ultimately that at least one function of these pyramids was to bring about or induce this state, which you might think of a trance state or an enlightening experience, is to place the soul or the human in this, what they call a sarcophagus, which isn't really a sarcophagus. They place them in here, and according at least to Bashar, as they would knock the walls of this box to a gamma frequency, right? They would start to vibrate. Remember, you've got this beam of energy coming down from the like straight through the center and ricocheting in certain ways to this exact location where the sarcophagus was, and you'd have the initiate in the sarcophagus, and then you're vibrating this to a gamma frequency. Think of the brain states, the beta and the gamma and the theta states, and this builds a bridge between your astral body and your physical body and your etheric body, right? It's unifying vibrationally these different, what we think of as different dimensions, right? Which affords us more remembrance. So, and it affords us this capacity to go out of body, which we do every day when we go to sleep. When we go to sleep, you're having these dreams, they're all haphazard, things are just happening to us. But if you begin to enlighten and awaken, you'll find that this chasm in vibration is reduced, and therefore you have the luxury of remembering completely lucidly, vividly, your dreams just like yesterday. And so what's happening is a bridge is being formed, and you will be out of body, you'll realize this, and if you therefore choose to come back, you will now be markedly changed by the process. You will now be on a spiritual journey, and you will be finding ways of raising your consciousness and how to attain this in a natural way. And I feel like they have on the lower levels these tombs, and I wonder whether that was actually a space for those beings who decided not to come back. Because remember, like the physical body is just a vehicle. Like, you know, you can chop your finger off, it's not you. You chop your hand off, it's not you. You chop your arm off, it's not you. You know, what are we? You know, you can remove most of the body and you'd still be left with nervous activity. So you are the nervous activity which ceases, you know, to some extent when you go to sleep, or at least the astral body leaves, and it's therefore filled or sustained whilst you sleep by the etheric body. And so, like, it's important for us to remember, you know, that we aren't these physical bodies. And we are the immortal soul, which can go through the forgetting. So in that sense, a forgetting is sort of like a death. And then you're reborn, you remember, you know, you remember who you are again. And it's this constant process. But these pyramids in itself allow this forgetting to be sort of alleviated or reconciled, because you're actually now expanding in awareness in a synthetic sense. Now, interestingly, they have pyramids on Mars and arranged in the same way as they are in the Pyramid of Giza, and also this arrangement has been seen in other pyramids on the planet. And I think, like, you know, if you look at the Secret Flower of Life by Doreen Melchizedek, it talks about the phi ratio and how that Fibonacci spiral actually perfectly correlates with this. But, you know, I need to do more research on this you know, aspect to it. But I feel like the primary focus of these structures were to bring about an initiation in the soul to higher worlds, and to therefore illuminate people to the true nature of reality. So we're going to be making more videos like this if you're interested in this kind of stuff, and expanding awareness in general. Because remember, poverty, slavery, all these problems that we see in the world that are seemingly so difficult, you know, what the government just can't do anything. It's because they're simply not trying, right? So no politicians nor petitions required to create the changes that we want to live in the world. If you want to be truly free, we have to be the ones that actually do that. And newearth.land, you can check out in more detail. Connect, share, support, and, you know, the donations are effectively a 21st century form of taxation, where it's totally optional, democratic, right? Crowdfunding is the new taxation. Old taxation is just theft, right? Outright. You don't, you know, pay us in this tax, we'll put you in prison. It's all psychopathy. So let's just create a new earth. Let's create a new world based on true freedom, abundance, and well-being. And we're going to be decommodifying shelter, energy, food, and water, reclaiming our land, okay, and building homes for people, not profit. If you're interested in that, check out newearth.land. But yeah, we will continue to talk about fascinating metaphysical subjects, the true nature of reality, spirituality, existence, philosophy on this channel. Do subscribe and like the videos. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Cheers.